Gentlemen, boys and girls, it is your favorite time of the week, wrestling chat with friends. And you know who it is. It's Megan Rickman Blackwood, your favorite heel in heels, joining us this week for the first time in a long time. We've got everybody in place. We've got Cheats 2 belts, also Cheats 4 belts, because you know he keeps stacking the champions. Cheats, what's up? Meow, meow, meow.
Everything's great. Everything's great. I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk wrestling this week.
Absolutely. And we have Ty gimmick incoming. What's your gimmick this week, Ty?
Uh, I'm going to be. I don't know. I have no gimmick. This is going to be no gimmick day.
It's always gimmick incoming. So we're just prepared for whatever happens. And this week there is no gimmick, and that's okay. This week I'm actually really excited because the three of us haven't been in the same place at the same time in a long time. I think this is the first time in probably a few months that we've all been on the show in one segment. Cheats has been our steady. He's always here. I've been dipping in and out because I am working session right now and it's insane. And Ty always comes and goes. Maybe that's your gimmick. You're like here, not here, the disappearing podcast host. But
I'll take that.
go
I'll take
ahead and
that.
tell me, what are you guys popping for this week? It's been a big week of wrestling.
Okay, I'll start with that. Let's see. What am I popping for wrestling? I mean, I'm always going to go back to Impact. And Bullet
The
Club is
indie
in Impact.
darling.
I mean, you have Jay White, you have Chris Bay, you have the gods of, God. You have Tamatonga, Tongaloa, up inside Impact. It's a great time. It's a really great time to be a wrestling fan.
Absolutely. There's so many good promotions going right now. Cheats, what about you? What's got you popping this week?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I'm popping for our guest because we do
Ooh,
have a
watch out
guest.
now.
And I want to bring in, I think, is the actually very first guest we've ever had on Wrestling Chat. My good buddy TG, Tom Garrett. Tom, welcome to the show as well. We want to
Thank
bring you
you.
in early for this segment of what's got you excited this week. But I think to answer the question is I'm going to go to, because it was Royal Rumble weekend. I'm going to go to Royal Rumble. I thought overall Royal Rumble was a good, not great show, but it was a really good show. And there's only a couple of things that I think could have been twisted to make it a great show. So I'm going to say Royal Rumble, popped for it. I definitely popped for the opening match with Roman and Seth. I thought that was an excellent match. And I thought the way that they kind of, I will say this, I wasn't excited about the booking before the match happened. And when that Shield theme hit and
Oh my
Seth
God.
came through the crowd with the Shield outfit on, and it was just perfect. And then the match started off super hot. So I'm definitely going to say Royal Rumble overall, but the Seth Roman match, opening match of Royal Rumble is what I was popping for this week. Absolutely.
That's weird
I
because
don't disagree with you. When I heard that Shield music come on, I actually watched the Royal Rumble so that I could have something I wanted to be prepared to have a conversation, and I wanted to give WWE a chance. Sad I did because it was terrible. And I forgot
What?
how much I hate the camera cuts. Oh my
Oh,
God, I
geez.
was nauseous 10 minutes in.
Oh,
But
geez.
hearing that Shield music drop lost my mind. All right, so TG, is that your gimmick? Is your gimmick TG? Because you have a whole name, but Cheats keeps
I
calling you
do have a whole
TG.
name. I do. Yeah, that's a high school thing, I guess. Um, as far as the Rumble goes, I agree with Mark that the first match was outstanding. The build was
yes,
good, given that it was pretty short term, and then sort of the twist of Seth coming out with the Shield's paraphernalia and music, I thought was really good storytelling. I thought the women's Rumble was okay. I thought the men's Rumble was one of the weaker Rumbles
Bad.
maybe
It was
ever.
bad.
Yeah.
All right, well,
that
hold
was
on,
the-
because we're gonna get into the Rumble.
Okay,
This
okay.
part right
But
here,
that was
Tom, is what you're
that was the
popping for
tweet.
this week. So what popped you?
Danhausen.
Like what got you going this week?
Danhausen.
Oh, that was mine. You stole mine, TG.
Sorry.
Big beef.
Sorry. I have I first became aware of Danhausen maybe, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And at first I think like most people, my experience with Danhausen is initially confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly but surely you start to understand like, oh my gosh, this is really interesting. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's going to be, I think if he's used correctly, always the caveat, I think he is going to be a really great asset to AEW.
Absolutely. Well, I've got to think of something else real quick because Danhausen that was what I was popping for.
If I had known, I would pick something else. I apologize.
Very nice, very evil of you to steal my poppin' of the week. Let me think. Okay, I'm just gonna go combination Danhausen and the Shield intro on WWE, just because like John Moxley is my favorite male wrestler. So just hearing the music, seeing them come out, and then also like just the acknowledgement that John Moxley's a person and still exists. That was kind of big for me, even though they kept calling him Dean Ambrose. I was excited. It brought me back into WWE just for a moment. Again, the camera cuts were a little rough. So I'll do like a half and half Danhausen and Seth coming out to the Shield music. So we can go ahead and jump straight into the Rumble because
Can I ask you a question? Because I'm one of those people that do not understand Danhausen at all. Don't get him. I'm still at that stage that Tom said, like, for people that are like, what is this? And from what I understand and what I've researched and so forth, obviously Ring of Honor, he was, I guess he was a big player in Ring of Honor, but apparently he can go in the ring. We just haven't seen that on AEW television.
Leg break. He had a nasty leg break right at the end of Ring of Honor. Like when they released everybody, he went out and did an indie match and like had a very nasty leg break. So he's still not cleared to wrestle. But he's just wonderful. Like look up his YouTube and just watch.
That's what I'm trying to understand. So I've seen some of his YouTube stuff and some of his YouTube skits, and I'm just trying to understand where do we go? Like somebody hit me to the brilliance, right? Because I'm not there. It's too new for me right now.
There is no feud in all of wrestling that I want to see more or that I would pay more money to see than Danhausen versus MJF. And the reason is because Danhausen's whole thing, in a nutshell, is that he is this guy who is largely oblivious to the people and the within the universe of kayfabe. He doesn't fully comprehend or acknowledge what is happening around him. So he gets everyone's name wrong. He thinks everyone is his friend. He is solely focused on making as much money and becoming as famous as possible. And he's very explicit about that. That's all he ever talks about. And the thing about what would be so great, and they've interacted in the past, like at signings and stuff like that. But the thing that would be so great, he is the one guy. MJF is a superb heel, and he is the one guy who would just completely frustrate MJF because he would think they were friends the whole time, and I would love to see that. But that's his whole thing, is he's oblivious and he's this weird, sort of, he thinks he's a demon
cartoon character, evil person.
Yeah,
like that's his whole shtick. Like he's very evil. He curses people. So that thing that he did to Adam Cole, and then he did it again last night to John Moxley, that is his magic Danhausen curse. And he like curses you, and then you lose your match, but not John Moxley because he's above the curse. But that's why Adam Cole lost, because he caught the curse.
Yeah, think of him as like a more cartoonish face Mankind.
Okay.
Back in 98, 99.
It's silly and funny, and like I do think I would love to see him with MJF. TG, I think that's like a wonderful pairing, because like nobody takes their role as a heel more seriously than MJF.
Yes.
And like Danhausen's just a foil to that. Like he's ridiculous and silly, and like I think you're right in that he never breaks. And but it's in this weird and insane way. And I would love to see him go against the more serious guys. I think he's going to be just a treasure. I cannot wait to see him really start to wrestle and have some good feuds and make more of an appearance on AEW. He also is in a massive serious feud with the Ass Boys. He's who started the Ass Boys thing with the Colton and the Gun Club. So he made a whole music video and a whole song for them.
It's a great song. It's so good.
So just tune in more, check out some more of his stuff, and you're gonna grow to love him. It's gonna take maybe another week or so, because at first I definitely was in that same place of what is this?
I don't understand it.
I will say he's so weird that it's in that he is in that category of, I think he's great, but I also completely understand why he's not for everybody. So I hope you come to love him, but if you don't, it's I get it. It's not,
It's his
song. It's like Orange Cassidy. I have big mixed feelings about Orange Cassidy. On the one hand, he is really entertaining, and then on the other hand, I'm and then not so much lately. They've really sort of positioned him so he is, has been a serious. I mean, he was a number one contender at one point. Yeah. But in the beginning, I was really worried about him being part of a mainstream company, because with Orange Cassidy, his gimmick is dependent upon wrestling almost sort of folding in on itself. You can't, it would be like having a magician who is standing out there talking about how these are all tricks and it's not, you know what I mean? But they've done a great job with Orange Cassidy, and I would love to see them do as good of a job, not do something similar with, but do as good of a job in his own way with Danhausen. I hope that happens.
I do think Danhausen and to a different degree, but in the same way, OC, they really they are the Carney incarnate. You can't love this weird thing that we love and not be able to embrace the people that are just taking it as far as it can possibly go and still be wrestling. So I hope you learn how to embrace Danhausen in your heart. That would make me very happy.
Yeah, like Broken Matt Hardy.
Yes.
Love Broken Matt Hardy. Love him.
Right?
Impact Broken Matt Hardy.
Correct.
Not
yes.
WWE's whatever they did, the Woken shite.
No, it's Broken Matt Hardy from the Compound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is you just gotta lean into the Carney of it all. And once you do, it's just magic. It's so wonderful. So welcome to Danhausen and
I'm excited.
I hope eventually Cheatshausen that you learn to love him like we do. All right, so let's jump right into the Royal Rumble. I suffered through the first half of that promotion for you guys so that we could have something to talk about. So first off, I am going to say I had not watched a WWE product in years at this point. The production, is it always like that?
Pretty much, yeah.
What do you mean?
It's consistent.
Oh, the cut, I can't take it. It's
the cuts, yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, the cuts happen a lot, but the overall production of WWE is bar none.
I mean, I get there's holograms and stuff, cool, but their video production,
their video production is.
I couldn't watch it. I was literally nauseous. The cuts were going so fast; it made my head hurt. I don't get it. Why is that a thing?
Let me warn you now. Never watch an episode of NXT 2.0 if you can't handle it.
Yeah. That's bad.
At the Royal Rumble or SmackDown. I mean, hey, look, they're the WWE when it comes to those vignettes, when it comes to production, when it comes to what they do with their staging and they're the standard in that sense. And what I think if you've gotten used to a certain aesthetic at another network, it's simply because they don't have the ability to do the bells and whistles that WWE has done. So it's
is it bells and whistles though when you're cutting with every punch?
With all
it feels unwatchable.
they have the luxury and the experience and just to do the type of production that, like, we were just, I think, what was it, a couple months ago, we were gaffing when AEW finally got like a steady cam that moved around, right? Like,
Exactly.
so it was like,
It's really dope for them.
No, but I understand what we're saying. But the idea that it's overproduced, possibly, but it's just they have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to production, and they're the top of the line when it comes to
this. I think I would divide it sort of into two different categories. There's, on the one hand, the quality of video production, like, for example, the pre-produced hype packages they did for Lesnar versus Lashley, as they just said, I mean, A+. I mean, they are the best in the business when it comes to that. I think what Megan's talking about, though, is actually related to a problem that, believe it or not, I heard Eric Bischoff talking about, and I never thought about this until he articulated it. But when you're talking about, like, the director and the cuts and all that stuff, his point about why AEW is a more watchable, more enjoyable product is, he's like, if I'm watching AEW at home, it, to a large degree, emulates the experience of watching a live wrestling event from the arena. Mm-hmm. He said WWE is like watching being in a movie theater, and it separates the viewer from the connection that you have ideally with performers in the ring that you get if you're there live, that you get if you watch AEW, that you no longer get in WWE because of exactly the kind of stuff you're talking about. And so I think it's they are very sophisticated, but at a certain point they are actually undermining their own ability to entertain in the same way that other live sports are able to entertain.
Yeah, I can't think of another live production in which you see that many cuts, you see that many, like, it's just, for me, it was really that there was points of it. And this isn't just my my WWE hate, because, like, I'll be straight up about it. Like, I don't like the company. I don't like the company's ethics. I don't like their politics. Like, I think they're garbage people. But, like, this is just like a producer's eye. I produce like a live thing every Sunday. It's church, but like it's like we've got a bunch of musicians. I've got 6 different cameras, and like if I was cutting like that, my person would come to the back and ask me if I was on crack cocaine. Like, no one would be okay with that amount of cuts in a live show. And if you look at even concert and like football games, basketball games, like people that have significant production budgets and significant production staff, like nobody cuts like that. It was insane. And it was really hard to watch. I will say during the Women's Rumble, they kind of like pulled it back some. But for me, especially during the Roman and Seth match, between like the cuts and then the zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out thing, like I was nauseous. I tried so hard, guys, but it was rough.
If you don't like the crash zooms, never watch an Okada match.
Oh, it was not good. Okay, so let's like move past the fact that I was nauseous from their production, and let's talk about the actual show. We all kind of talked about the first match, but let's jump right into the Rumble. Women's Rumble, who were you most excited to see come back? Because they did have some pretty dope run-ins on the Women's Rumble. Who was your favorite entrant?
I mean, I'll just say I'm kind of a homer, so Mickie James, because she's from Richmond. It was good to see her back. The most shocking thing that happened in the entire Rumble, or in the entire show, even more than Seth coming out to the Shield music, which was great, was I could not believe that WWE allowed someone from another company to display a championship belt from outside of WWE. I cannot remember. I mean, I think maybe like the NWA invasion angle they were doing during the desperation of when WCW was beating them was the last time on live TV that they showed some other company's championship title. So that was amazing, but it was good to see her.
Same.
Absolutely. I was super happy to see Mickie. Was Mickie your favorite too, Ty?
Mickie was my favorite too. And going on the fact what TG was saying is that not only did they show the Impact Women's Championship, they showed They played Hardcore Country, which is TNA's Mickey James theme. She was dressed as TNA Mickey James,
Mm-hmm.
and she acted like TNA Mickey James.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a big difference between that. If you saw my Twitter feed, I think you saw it too. I was going off when they were saying when I heard Hardcore Country come out. I was like, "Oh, I hate this song, but god damn, I love this." So I have no idea what Hardcore Country is. I have no idea. Is it like the NWA of country? I don't know, but um, I loved it. My second favorite was Ivory.
Mm.
Oh, to hear that right
There's
to
a lot of
censor,
Ivory talk.
to hear that right to censor music playing and just her and the mic. I love it. I loved it.
Can I ask though, because a lot of folks have said this like sheer shock that Tom and Ty you're talking about
Mhm.
Mickey James displaying the belt and acknowledging TNA and so forth. I guess I'm a little confused in the sense that after after they announced her, and then
Mhm.
they announced her as Impact champion
Yep.
Mickey James. Like, is it that far of a step? Because people were really freaking out about the belt and the music and so forth. But when they announced her, they didn't announce her as Hall of Famer Mickey James or former WWE champion Mickey. No, they announced her as who she was and what she's currently doing in her promotion. Is it that big of a deal? Or why?
Yes.
Maybe I should ask, why is it such a big deal that this
Because
happened?
WWE doesn't act like any other wrestling promotion exists,
Yeah.
right? Like their
Basically.
whole thing is it's us and it's only us. And I think Vince like really intentionally like bought up all of the indies. He went through and got all the regionals. Like they are the only wrestling company on the planet. And like for them to even acknowledge another promotion, I think is huge.
Yeah. Because
So
I don't remember the last time they did that. It was like AJ Styles talking about Bullet Club. They actually said Bullet Club.
Mm.
They actually said IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Like
and
only two people have that. It's Brock.
maybe I'm
Too.
asking the wrong way because my thing is I was shocked that they announced her as they did when they did. I am less shocked about everything else that happened after this, and it seems like there's this slow, like rolling the ball up the hill, like oh my god they announced her. Now it's like oh my god they let her bring the belt. Oh my god they let her do podcast. I'm like, well, after they announced her, isn't that the big shock that she's
So
coming?
you're saying once they had already broached this whole issue by saying, Impact Women's Champion or whatever they said, which by the way was a big surprise that they even said. I mean, when they said it on TV, I was like, wow, I can't believe they said that.
I thought that was the shock. To
me, it's like it's even another level when you actually have somebody who's an active champion in another company have that championship title on TV, and that really it's because it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. Picture's worth 1,000 words. You can say something as a throwaway line, like when Pat McAfee made reference to Mox or Seth Rollins made reference to Mox on TV, and it's like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. But it's a whole other level when you have somebody with that title on television. I mean, at least for me. So
Absolutely.
To short answer your question, I'm going to go hometown as well. And it was Mickey, but it was in particular Mickey and Lita squaring off. There was a moment in the Women's Rumble after they announced Lita, who I'm a huge Lita fan. When they announced
What
Lita,
is with all the cuts? Do you work for WWE? Why do you keep moving us around?
she looked. I'm working on this. Lita looked fantastic. Lita looks like she's ready for another run. And when she had a moment when they squared off, her and Mickey kind of squared up face to face. I was like, this is for somebody from Richmond, Virginia. I was like, this is phenomenal. Like this was worth the price of admission for that little stare down. And so I was popping in the Women's Rumble, which I thought was leaps and bounds at better than the Men's Rumble. Because it was a Rumble. In the sense that they bought legends back, they bought surprises in. They had I think they have to do it out of necessity, in the sense that they may not have 30 active working. You know what was interesting too about the Women's Rumble, and Ty and I talked about this. We were both live tweeting from the WCWF Twitter account, so make sure you follow. we were also equally as shocked that Alexa Bliss and Bayley, for whatever reasons, maybe not cleared, whatever. I don't know what's going on with Alexa Bliss, but the fact that they weren't in, and then Bayley sends that awesome tweet trolling everyone,
I love
it
that.
was phenomenal. And so, I was extremely happy with the entire Women's Rumble in the sense of, even was it Sasha Banks coming out first or second?
First.
The Sailor Moon.
Yeah, Charlotte was able to establish her dominance in the sense of being in the ring. Like, everything that we needed to happen, I think, in the Women's Rumble in some way took place. I even enjoyed the Naomi Sonya Cameron Funkadactyls reunion story. I thought it was all great, man. I thought the Women's Rumble was really, really good.
I did not understand though why Tamina kept on saving everybody. I don't understand that at all. But
I didn't get that either. I feel like she had a chance to throw so many people out and she didn't.
Yeah. I don't.
For me, I'm just gonna say it. Like, when the Bellas music hit, I lost my mind. Like, there's, and I will say, I watched all the way into the men's rumble. I did fall asleep and have to finish it the next day, but there was a huge difference for me in the quality of, and maybe it's just because they're old and like I knew them, but like I couldn't really tell who people were on the men's rumble because of their music. Like, everyone had like a generic like guitar riff and then like some drum, and like even some of the older people that I know, like, I didn't recognize their music. But on the women's rumble, like, when those songs were hitting, I was like, yes, these are my people. Foxy came back out. I was so excited to see her. I didn't even know she still wrestled, and she looked good. I was excited to see Cameron. I was waiting for her to try to pin somebody in the Rumble because that would be a very Cameron thing to do. But I definitely enjoyed it. Do you guys want to talk about the men's Rumble, or was it such a disappointment that we could just move right along?
We got to talk about
worst. I mean, you can say it was the worst. It's the worst.
I like Johnny
Knoxville.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I think what stands out to me about the men's rumble was it was everything that the women's. It was, when you think of a Royal Rumble and you think of what the women did. Again, you think of surprises, you think of returns, you think of funny gimmicks inside the match. The challenge with the men's rumble was that it really had none of that. Johnny Knoxville and obviously the reemergence of Bad Bunny were really your only two surprises. They didn't bring back really any legends that you hadn't seen in a long time, which they're known for. They didn't have any real surprises unless, like, everybody knew after the Brock Bobby match, which we should talk about. Everybody knew Lesnar was going to be number 30 and Lesnar was going to win. It was the least shocking moment of, Royal Rumble history. And so I think the only throwback they had was Shane McMahon, and we obviously know what happened to him. So it's just, I think overall, in regards to what the Royal Rumble is supposed to be and what it's supposed to represent, and the moments you have, like the Edge return or AJ Styles coming out, or just big storylines, just really didn't deliver. It just didn't deliver.
Almost everything that could have, except for, like a major injury or something like that, almost everything that could have gone wrong with this Rumble did go wrong. And I mean, from the standpoint of, we just talked about all the things that were good about the women's Rumble. And it's not so much, I don't want to say formulaic, but there's like a good Royal Rumble. There is a to-do list or a checklist. And the women's Rumble checked all those boxes. And the men's Rumble checked none of those boxes. And it was everything from, the second Shane McMahon came out, I knew that something had gone really badly in the behind the scenes. So I had no idea that he was going to get fired, but I was like, the fact that he's in this Rumble means that they had some other plans that they want for, like, a big surprise, or like, there have been all these rumors about maybe someone from AEW was going to come in for a one night or whatever, crazy stuff. But whatever plans they had fallen through. Because if they had to put him in the Rumble, I was like, oh, well, this is not good. But everything from that to, like you said, Mark, not a lot of surprises, to the fact that there were so many good wrestlers who were on a part of the main roster who were not featured in the Men's Rumble, which that's not good. So the Women's Rumble had this great mix of recognizable and entertaining faces from the past and meshing them with current stars to elevate those stars. The Men's Rumble was, as I said, none of that, up to and including, the one thing that we kind of can count on every year, the really, amazing Kofi Kingston escape spot, and that got botched. And then that also in turn hurts Big E because all the stuff that they were going to do now has to get thrown out the window, and just there's this ripple effect of all this stuff. And I say all of that as somebody who I freely admit I am a big Brock Lesnar fan. I like Brock Lesnar, but that Rumble was not good.
It was hot garbage. I'm just going to say it. Hot garbage. Okay, so do we have to talk about Brock and Lashley, or can we just move right along?
We got to talk about it a little bit.
You guys, we've done a half hour on WWE. I'm going to give you 5. You got 5 minutes to talk Brock and Lashley.
All right.
Go.
All right, Brock and Lashley was a snore fest. I'm done.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, but I like Brock.
Because you like Bobby Lashley. That's why you like
I like Bobby. I like Bobby. I do like Bobby.
That's what I'm saying. It was.
I like Bobby, and I like the fact that he came. Now, I knew as soon as he came away with the title what was going to happen in the Rumble. Like, it was, the worst foreshadowing in the history of foreshadowing. But I like the fact that they gave him the belt. Like, he got the belt back. He had a real match with Brock. It wasn't like it was some kind of, because at first I was like, is it going to be some kind of squash like things to spare Brock so he could go in the Rumble later? But he had a real match. I liked everything that happened in the match. I like how it came out, and I was a big fan of that spot. I thought they actually built that up pretty well. I thought they executed at the time, and now I'm a little, as everybody's is looking forward, I'm a little concerned about what happens to Bobby now that we know it's already going to be Brock and Roman at WrestleMania. And let's not mention, I did not see Roman coming out and spearing Brock and the Heyman turn. I thought all of it was great, man. I thought it was good stuff.
You didn't see that coming?
I didn't see it coming.
I figured. Basically they had to do the angle that they would have done at day one if Roman had not gotten COVID. And so they because to get to where they need to get to at WrestleMania, certain plot points had to happen. And so that was what this was. Me personally, what I enjoy about Brock matches is they just, I know wrestling is an art form, but man, those two dudes who are both legit, they just beat the crap out of each other. And there's as in the same way that there's a place for Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, there's a place for that for me. And it's enjoyable. Some of those suplexes, like at the beginning, Bobby you could see he was like rolling because he was trying to avoid, I think, taking it right on the, flat because they were just so high, the angle was so high and they were just so intense. So I liked it. I thought the build was good. I thought that the stuff with Heyman, of course, I love Heyman. I love Roman. I thought that was good and necessary to get to where they needed to get to. I thought the right guy won. So I was happy with that match. It wasn't Seth and Roman good, but I was fine with it.
I'm always down for two big beefy dudes beating each other up. But to be 100% honest, I was more entertained by the 3-minute promo video that they did. I was popping for that. I was like, okay, this is gonna be fire. And then just to have such a dusty finish, I'm off it. Give me a good match. And speaking of good matches, let's go ahead and move right along. Last night in Chicago, finally,
One good match.
Finally, we get to see the end of maybe not the end, right? We're gonna probably see some more with it. But the actual match between CM Punk and MJF. Give me your thought.
It went too long.
What?
It went too long.
Interesting.
They could have shaved off 8 minutes and it still would have been a great match. It went too long. We could have done without the pendulum little punching thing that looked terrible.
When he was
They could
falling
have
up
done
and
with
down. I thought that was fun.
yeah the whole was it a no DQ? Was it a no DQ match all of a sudden?
It was
Because
just a let them
they
go,
were
man.
using
They
they
were
were
just letting them do what they
using
wanted to do.
yeah they were using like getting choked out by rope. They
But the
were
whole thing
using.
with that was that like the ref didn't see it, and so like the
I'm
match ended, but then
I'm
he
talking about
saw
yeah
it and it got started
exactly.
again.
No, I'm talking about the whole CM Punk on the other side of the ropes and him choking him with it. Everybody can plainly see it. No count out and Punk hitting him with objects when they're going up the stairs. I'm like, okay, so what are the rules? Was it a no DQ? Like I don't. If it was a no DQ, I'm fine with it. And if it was a no DQ, then why all of a sudden him hiding the rope was a big deal? So I
No,
mean,
you got a
I
Pepsi splash off the top rope from CM Punk. I don't know what more you want. And I think it needed to go that long because I, for one, have said cult of mediocrity since he's been back. And I think seeing him go for 40 minutes, like he can still go. It was an old school, like down and dirty wrestling match. And I mean, there was a little bit of, MJF foolery with the ring and the rope and stuff, but it was really good to see Punk go that long. And he was definitely gassed at the end, but I mean, he kept up. Cheap
I
thought.
So hold on, Ty's already gone. Ty, was that your comment? That was it?
Yeah, no, I mean it was the best CM Punk match I have seen thus far. That's not saying much, but it's the best CM Punk match I've seen thus far.
Haters.
I did like MJF. I think the right person won. I could have done without the Wardlow thing. I just wish he would have just taken it out of his trunks and then punched him with it. But like old school William Regal with the power of the punch jump. But it was a good match. It was the best match on the show.
Yeah. Oh, easy.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I really did. And the only thing that I would take issue with in the long term is I'm waiting for the Wardlow heel turn. Like I'm waiting for the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I guess like a face turn, but I'm waiting for Wardlow to turn on MJF. And I was thinking when he walked out and was looking, I was like, I didn't think he would do anything, but I was thinking maybe he just like kind of leaves MJF for dead, and then MJF Punk goes over, MJF's laid for dead, Wardlow doesn't intervene, like doesn't stop it. And it just kind of builds more. The fact that Wardlow aided and assisted the victory for MJF, it's a good story. I'm more interested in the Wardlow MJF story than I am the CM Punk MJF story.
Same.
However, I do think that it's good to see Punk make an attempt at doing what Daniel Bryan has done, what Jon Moxley has done, what Kenny Omega has done, Hangman Page has done. He hadn't had that opportunity to really say, like, here's 45 minutes, here's 40 minutes, let's go, against an opponent that we really think is worthy. Like, he's going up against, whatever they lined up, before him. The Darby match was good, but that wasn't that, it was his first match back and he wasn't able to really go. So I think it's a credit really to MJF that MJF doesn't wrestle every week. He's such a great heel, but he doesn't in-ring work on television that often. So the fact that they have so much trust in MJF to put him in spots like they did with the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle and have MJF do the Jericho thing and then turn around and do something like this. And when he does get in the ring, say, all right, MJF, you got, 45 minutes, make it count. And he did all the great heel stuff, man. When he choked him out, I loved it. When he hit him with the, when heels cheat, I love it. It reminds me of why I love wrestling and the, loving to hate a Ric Flair type of person. So I thought it was a really good match. I really want to see where it goes with Wardlow more than anything else.
Okay, I'm going to jump in, and then TG, I want your take, but I do want to just, okay, since we were talking about production earlier, I think this is something that like AEW does better than WWE, right? Because first off, we're all waiting on the Wardlow turn. We're invested in that, and we want to see it happen. So when initially he's standing there and then he makes way for CM Punk to come through, you don't see the ring drop. You don't see that happen there. You don't see that handoff. You just see him stepping out of the way, and everybody's like, "Oh, is this it? Did he just turn on MJF?" You don't see that until after the show. Like, so after the match was over, we see the cut where you can see what happened. But at the moment, we're all invested in this Wardlow turn, and it looks like he's genuinely just getting out of the way for CM Punk. And I think that there's like a credit to their producers for not just like giving that away, right? Like, it's another piece of how they do storytelling that I think really is setting them apart in the wrestling business. And that's just my humble opinion. All right, so you give us your take, TG. Let's go. Give me your Punk and MJF take.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. The point that the way that I was going to phrase it was, and I say this as somebody like, I'm probably, you know, I would say I am a fan of WWE. I'm much more forgiving of WWE than probably a lot of people are. But one thing that WWE very rarely does these days is surprise me. And sometimes that's okay. Like, I have seen kind of where the Roman Reigns storyline has been going for a long time, but I love it. I'm all in for that storyline to, you know, continue to next year's WrestleMania, and he wrestles The Rock in Hollywood. I'm all for it. So I can still enjoy stuff sometimes, even when it's predictable. But WWE is very predictable. And that spot last night and the whole thing with, you know, with Wardlow and the outcome and all that, I was surprised. I thought that what you just said was the way it was going to unfold was Wardlow comes out, he doesn't intervene, which is what we thought was happening. And this is the moment where, you know, maybe Punk wins, maybe he doesn't, but either way, this is the start of the split and the start of that feud. And that's not what happened. And I thought it was a good match. At Ty's point that he made, I sort of, because I'm kind of a nerd for, you know, narrative integrity. And I was like, yeah, what are the rules of this match exactly? Like, what's happening? But I thought it was a good match, and I was very pleasantly surprised by sort of how it turned out.
The last thing I'm going to say about it, and then we can move on and we can rate a wrestler, right? That's what we intend to do on our run sheet. I will say CM Punk talked a lot when he was younger and when he was in his WWE run about how these old guys come back and it's all about them and they're part-timers and they come and they just, you know, they show up for a couple of matches and WWE puts them over. I think there is nothing more gracious than CM Punk putting MJF over in his hometown. And I saw a clip I think it was this morning I saw it, where it was like a really tight, close shot on that when they were laying there and MJF turns his head into CM Punk. I cannot wait for the podcast, the interview, somewhere down the line where we find out what was said in that moment. Because when he came up, like, I expected him to be crying. But of course it's AF, so he immediately was like healing it up because that's what he does. But I think that for young wrestlers who came up on Punk, who came up watching him, who idolized him, like, he was being very real when he was like, you had my poster on your wall. Like, we've seen pictures. We know that's a real thing. And like, for Punk to set aside his own ego, his own, like, you know, feels of being back in Chicago, and to put a young wrestler over and to set up somebody like MJF, who I think will be around for a very long time, and I think will be at the top of the business for a while. That was just really beautiful to see, and to love this industry and to love what they do and to see like that kind of torch passing in real time. I don't know, it warmed my heart. I had a whole little moment where I was like, well, I'm gonna cry too. Nobody else felt the feels for the torch passing. whatever. Okay, let Shane McMahon wrestle his 50th match and win.
I did think one thing that did cross my mind was I thought it took a lot of guts for AEW and for Punk to have that match, have that outcome in Chicago.
Yep.
I did take guts.
I agree. And I mean, you gotta. I mean, it's AEW.
Why is that courageous? I don't.
Because it's Punk's hometown, and they love him. And like, I mean, a year ago in WWE, they're chanting his name so loud you can't get a promo out. So like, it's Chicago.
Let's face it.
It's an ECW original losing in Philadelphia. That's what it is.
That's exactly right. It's Chicago has been the most important city for AEW, you know, in its short history, but in its history, and for them to have the number one Chicago guy lose to basically the number one heel in the company in Chicago, I think it's gutsy because there's going to be some portion of that crowd, not most of them, but there's going to be some portion of that crowd who's not going to like that outcome. And maybe they think twice the next time AEW comes to town. And Tony Khan and, you know, CM Punk and MJF and all and the creative folks, I think they're thinking big picture and thinking this is what we need to do for MJF to take the next level, to get to the next level.
I think CM Punk is also thinking big picture. Like, here's the thing: this result doesn't happen unless CM Punk is thinking that this is the best thing that's going to happen, right? Yeah. Like, this is the best thing for everyone involved, and that's why. And just because I think you're right, Tom, in the sense that outside of Daly's place, I feel like AEW's in Chicago literally once a month. Like, they're in Chicago all the time, and to have this caliber match in Chicago is great. However, what keeps the story going? What keeps the intrigue happening? And I think these types of results, and it wasn't like he beat him clean. Everybody knows he cheated. You know what I mean? But that's the type of thing that I think allows CM Punk to go 40, 45 minutes, allows the story to go on with Wardlow and MJF, allows, you know, CM Punk didn't lose any face last night, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking anything else outside of that. CM Punk goes over, I think this whole conversation is a lot smaller. Like, it's a lot less significant, right? So, and I think CM Punk knows that. I think the executives at AEW know that, and I think, you know, they're going to figure out ways to keep CM Punk at the top of people's consciousness and minds. And you know, you'll probably get a rematch at a pay-per-view with MJF before it really ends. You know what I mean? So I understand what we're saying in theory of what it means for wrestling, but almost a lot like we were talking about earlier with the Mickie James situation, I feel like these are things that what makes wrestling continue, what makes wrestling great. Like, I'm less surprised about CM Punk dropping, dropping in Chicago, right? Like, I get it.
I don't know. I'm an AEW mark all day, but I do think it speaks to their talent and the culture there. Bryan Danielson did the same thing, right? Like, his first loss was to Hangman. Like, he put Hangman over, and like in a very clean and like, you know, straightforward way. But I think what I love to see there is that these guys, like, it's very clear that they love this. It's not about them. It's not about like their legacy. It's not about like going out on top. It's like them coming back and really wanting to set up the next generation. Which, okay, one more thing before we go to our Rated Wrestler. What did you guys think about the Bryan Danielson promo with Jon Moxley about starting their own stable? I'm on board.
My favorite thing in wrestling, maybe my favorite thing in wrestling, is when a heel has a good point. I think that is when heels are most effective, and I think this is going to lead to something. No matter what happens, I think it's going to lead to something very interesting.
I loved it that he was like, these people hate me, but they know I'm right. And I was like, yeah, you are. You are your nail on the head. Are you guys Cheats, Ty? Are y'all ready for a Danielson Moxley stable?
I think they're just going to do a match, right? Ty, what do you think? I think he turns him down and does the match. Yeah,
it's just a match. It's not going to be a stable.
I don't know. I would love to see it. I'm on board. And the names that he mentioned, like, I think the people that he mentioned were hot. Lee Moriarty, Daniel Garcia. Like, there are some people that could benefit from that tutelage. I mean, if we're talking about real life Daniel Bryanson getting in the ring and helping people get better, Jade Cargill is training with Daniel Bryanson, or Brian Daniel, and trying to get herself better. So I do think that there's an opportunity there for a stable to come out of people that are really training and getting their chops up. But if you guys don't want to see it, I understand.
No, I think there will be a stable that Danielson does, but it's not going to have Mox. Mox is not going to turn heel. He can't. It's going to be.
He doesn't have to turn heel. He can just have like a kick-ass stable with Bryan Danielson.
You would, because right now Bryan's a heel. The dynamics would be. That's why the Becky Lynch and the Piper Nevin match suffered so much. You had two heels.
What's her name?
Doudrop.
Yeah, I refuse to call her that. Piper Nevin.
Why? That's her name.
Is Piper Nevin. Piper Nevin. There are two heels going at it, and you don't know who to root for. You don't know who to care for. If you have, it's going to be too obvious what's going to happen. It's just like when Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family. We all knew that was going to last. We just thought it was going to last a little bit longer than it did. But no one's going to fall for that.
I don't know. I'd be on board for it. I'd love to see it. And I'd love to see them really take some of these wrestlers that are kind of lost in other stables or are just kind of doing stuff on Dark and elevate them. Would love to see it. Okay, so we're going to rate a wrestler this week because that's what we're going to do. So this week we get to rate one of my absolute favorite wrestlers, Thunder Rosa. So let's start. Chief, go ahead and let me know how many belts are you gonna give to Thunder Rosa?
All right, so obviously, Tom we might have never rated a wrestler.
Oh, we didn't do that when Tom was here.
Let me explain.
Yeah, this is a newish concept. So what rate the wrestler is? Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, rate the wrestler. We're basically taking the Source Magazine 5 mics format and giving it to wrestlers. Instead of mics, we're having belts. You can only do halves, so you can't go 1.25 like I did with one wrestler, Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara. Yeah, I didn't really like him. But
you only gave him 1.25. That's the barometer.
No. I gave him that for like I think mic work.
I see. Yeah. Sorry.
There's topics.
Yeah, topics. So we do mic work, in-ring ability, and X factor. That it factor. That what makes the person a star. We've done a lot of these wrestlers already. We've done AJ Styles. We've done Bobby Lashley. We've done Sammy. We've done.
That's it. We haven't done that many.
Did we do Roman? I thought we did Roman.
We did Roman. Yeah, Roman.
Okay, so we did Roman.
Yeah. And
but we haven't done that many.
And AJ Styles are our highest rated wrestlers right now.
Yep.
And now we're doing our first lady wrestler.
Yes.
Yep. First one.
My favorite, Thunder Rosa. So let's start. We can start with what is probably arguably maybe her least highest rated category. So let's start with mic work. Cheats, what do you rate Thunder Rosa on mic work?
Okay, so this is challenging only because are we rating Thunder? No, we can't. We're just doing mic work. Because here's the thing: Thunder Rosa is actually really great on her vlog in regards to. Relax, Megan, relax. Relax.
Sorry.
She's really great on her vlog in the way she communicates direct to camera, articulates things. However, we're not rating the vlog. We're rating what she does when she does her promos and her in-ring mic work. which isn't that often in AEW world. She does do some of those smaller promos like direct to camera, and they're not that great. So I'm gonna go with Thunder Rosa, Mike's Stylings 2.5. 2.5.
Ouch.
2.5.
That's low.
Wow.
2.5.
Ty.
I am actually going against the grain with Cheats here because I've seen her mic work inside NWA. I've seen her mic work in MLW. When she's able to talk and actually talk, she can. It's just that she doesn't get that chance in AEW all that often. I believe I don't know if English was her first language. I don't think so because she was born in Tijuana, not Tijuana. She was born in California, but Mexico, California. No, I mean California goes beyond our state, but she's pretty good, but she's not to the level as other people. Like I think that Jade is actually better on the mic than she is, but I'm still going to give her higher than Cheats. I'm going to give her a 3. She's a 3 for me.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, TG, what do you give her on the mic?
I feel like first I got to say I don't really have the calibration, being a little unfamiliar with this. I think she has good intensity, and keep in mind I haven't seen her blog. You know, I've just seen her on AEW. I think she has good intensity. I think the content is maybe a little bit generic. I was going to say 2.5 as well.
Stick with your gut there. Stick with your gut, TG.
Okay, so five is the highest. I am like Ty. Once I discovered Thunder Rosa, I've watched her in like all these indie promos, and I will say, recently in the Go with Mercedes Martinez, she's really started to kind of lean into the like. She's another one that I think really speaks like for the women in the locker room, and she wants to kind of push that forward. I think that last promo she did, Mercedes Martinez, was really good. So I'm gonna give her a 3.5.
3.5. So
what does that give us total? 3?
She's got two 2.5s, a 3.5, and a 3. So yeah, that's gonna reign her out around a 3 there.
Okay. So next we can go to, let's do It Factor next, because I know what she's gonna get in the ring. I'm well aware of what she's gonna get for her in-ring rating. So let's go It Factor next.
Might be surprised.
We're gonna fight if it's a surprise. TG, we're gonna start with you. So remember, 5 is the highest, and It Factor is really that, like, you know, it's that thing that you can't really put your finger on, but it's something about them that gets you interested. It's that carny heart. So what do you rank Thunder Rosa?
I mean, she's interesting. I'm obviously not as big of a fan as you are. I do think she's one of the better all-around performers that they have. I'll say 3.5.
Damn.
This is for X Factor. No, okay,
correct.
3.5 for X Factor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
Got it.
Is 3.5 not good? I'm thinking of like rating a movie on Saturday.
No, you're exactly right. It's rating a movie. You're exactly right, Tom.
Like 3.5 star movie would be a good movie.
Yeah.
Here you go, Tom.
Above average movie.
It is.
Time.
Me? My turn? Okay.
X Factor for Thunder.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I do, TG, is that I don't only take AEW in consideration when I'm grading these people. I take every single, like all women wrestlers. She does have that. Hey, look at me kind of thing. In the smaller promotions. In the bigger promotions, she gets lost in the shuffle because she just does. And it could be not her fault because when she's actually in the ring, the crowd goes for her. But if she were in the bigger, like let's say in a WWE, in a New Japan ring, you know, the big promotions, yeah, she'd be okay. So I'll give her a 3. In that I'll give her a 3.
I'm about to quit this podcast.
I mean, you gotta take a look at it. Is she ever going to have that crossover appeal? Is she ever going to be on anything else? Not really. she's going to be in a wrestler.
I think that is underrating Thunder Rosa, and I think she totally could be on other things. She already is doing a lot of stuff with her vlog, and I believe that if given the chance, she would do some really good cross-promotional stuff, especially in the Spanish language market. So I'm going to go ahead and give Thunder Rosa an It Factor of 4.5.
What? What?
I see a little bias coming through here.
A little. It's her favorite
If for
wrestler.
nothing else than to throw off your numbers.
No, I'm gonna go with a strong 4, and I'll tell you why. I think, and it has, again, like I said, if we can rate her vlog stuff, right, and her social media stuff as a part of her mic work, where she is direct to camera quite a bit.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think we just lost your audio.
Jeez, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go.
I think I would rate it higher. So the vlog, to me, what she does in GCW, what she does in the promotion that she runs, what's it called? The promotion she runs. Is it MPW? What is it's M something?
Like
MLW?
The lady one?
Yes.
I don't know the initials. That's my bad.
MPW.
MPW, yeah. So what she does with MPW, what she does at GCW, what she does at AEW, what she did, I think when she debuted at AEW, she debuted as the NWA champion, right?
She did.
Yeah. So, in regards to X Factor being able to, I didn't know this, but a ton of wrestlers have blogs. Just they have vlogs. They're on YouTube. Just so many of them. And the fact that hers, to me, stands out. It breaks through. It makes her an interesting person, as Tom said. And it makes her outside the ring stuff, makes me want to pay attention to her in the ring. If it wasn't for that outside of the ring stuff, I would be less excited about Thunder Rosa. So I give her an X Factor, I think, is extremely, extremely high. I think she does a great job with all of the stuff that she does. And that's why it's a 4 for me.
I completely agree with you, and that's why I gave her 4.5, because I do think she pops up at indie shows all the time. She wrestles the dudes, like, come on. Okay, so now we go to what is probably arguably her strongest suit, her in-ring talent. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop right on off 4.5. She's amazing. I would give her a 5 if I thought that anyone would consider it fair, because I think she's amazing. I've seen her go with the dudes. I watched her give somebody a stunner over the weekend, which I thoroughly enjoyed. She speared a lady through an entire like pallet of beer stuff at that like last show they did in the brewery. I love her. I think she's amazing. She makes everybody that gets in the ring with her look good. I'm completely on board. 4.5. It would be a 5 if I thought you guys would take me seriously. Ty?
So again, I have to put her up against her contemporaries, her peers. I have to put her up against Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Io Shirai, Asuka. I have to put her against Deonna Purrazzo, Mickie James. And when you put her up against all these people, she's average. She's a 3. She is she does. She has
it's been a fun run on WCWF. I don't work here no more.
She's quitting, Ty.
I'm just saying.
Ty, what are you doing?
Like if we're doing this in a vacuum and just AEW, then yes, she's one of the best wrestlers on AEW. She is. If we're taking this to Shimmer, Chicago, if we're taking this to DDT, WWE, Impact, no, she's MLW. Like Kylie Ray is a better wrestler than Thunder Rosa, but I can't give her anything else than a 3 if we're not talking about in a vacuum.
I would love to see her against Charlotte Best walking around, no butt.
Charlotte will run circles around her.
Yeah, she's not.
Charlotte will run circles.
How
around
do
her.
you guys like
Bailey,
Charlotte? She's
because
stiff
she's
and
good.
wow. I think she's
She is
terrible.
She is good.
Boo.
We'll have
Wait
to
till
rate her
wait
later.
till we vote on some of y'all's wrestlers. I'm dropping all one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pete. Ruin my night.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Tom makes a compelling argument. He really does. I would not say she's average. I'd say she's above average, even when you put her against really great talent. But I don't think she's elite, right? I don't think she's elite talent. So I'm gonna give her a 3.5 in ring.
You guys you just suck. All right, TG, what you got?
I think she's really good. Now I will say I don't watch Shimmer, and I'm not that aware of non-mainstream American wrestling promotions. So I freely admit I'm sure are performers I haven't seen. But I would have said 4 before that match with Britt Baker, and I don't even like hardcore matches really, just in general. But I think that bumps her up to a 4 or 5.
I know that's right,
There
TG.
you
You
go,
want to start a podcast, TG? Because I'm about to leave this one. Because these fools are talking about Thunder Rosa like they don't watch her matches. She's so good, and she trains so many people. Like, she is training the entire women's locker room right now. Like, she is really working with them and getting them better.
Disco Inferno trains a lot of people. That doesn't really mean anything to me.
Hold on. So really quickly, we have a 3.5, 2 4.5s, and a 3. Where does that place her in ring?
I think that's a 3.5.
What?
Where do you do math?
No. It's definitely going to be a
4.
I think
All right, so what were her final scores?
Let me
So
see.
4.
Let me see.
4.
3 plus.
All right. So here we go. In ring work, we've got her at a 4. Mic work, we got her at a 3. And then X Factor, we've got her at a 4.
I can live with that. I'll stay on the podcast another week.
So overall, we'd probably say Thunder Rosa
4.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to give her a 4. Hey, look, it's the highest woman wrestler ever rated on the show.
And I think TG makes a good point. Well, it's the only woman wrestler ever rated on the show, so I see what you did there.
There you go.
But I do think TG makes a good point. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find a more iconic match than what her and Britt Baker laid down with that Lights Out match. I think that is probably, and it may be one of the top AEW matches of their first kind of little era. And I think we're going to be talking about Thunder Rosa for a long time. Now, I should probably just go ahead and say my heel of the week is Ty and Cheats because they rated Thunder Rosa so terribly. But I'll give it to somebody else. Let's go ahead and start our heel of the week because we are running long and we got to finish this thing up because I got to get in the bed. All right. So TG, I don't know if you know about this, but every week what we do is we do a non-wrestling heel of the week. It can be a person, it can be an idea, it can be a thing, it could be like a whole sports team, it can be whatever you want it to be. What pissed you off this week, and who is your heel of the week?
Okay, I'm not even going to provide any explanation for this. You can just pick a reason. Whatever reason you'd like to personally pick is fine. My heel of the week is Dan Snyder.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm completely good with that.
Okay.
I might be the only person in the world, and TG probably knows where I'm going with this. I'm not that mad at it. I'm not that mad. No. I'm not that mad at the uniforms. And here's the thing. Yeah. In this day and age,
I'm not even talking about that.
Okay. The other stuff. I get it. I get what you're saying. There's a whole lot of reasons. Not
you could pick a reason, and you picked one.
Right. He did pick one. I just think in this day and age, and we'll just move on really quickly. But what do you expect from the internet? Right? Like they could have literally had the best backstory, the best uniforms, the best name that you could ever name, right? And because I just remember when they announced Washington football team and said we're going to run with that for a year or 2 years until they pick a name. Do you know how many people were like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever, because it's the internet. That's what the internet does. And then do you know how many people just yesterday was like, they should have just kept Washington football team. We love it now. That makes total sense. And I'm like, guys, you're women, guys, whatever. You're never gonna get it right. It doesn't matter what organization it is. It doesn't matter. It like, when the Lakers went to crypto, it's not like everybody was like Staples Center is the greatest name in the history of names. No, it's just because they changed it. It's that's what happens. This is what the internet does. The internet's undefeated. So that's what I say about it. Like, is there better names? Yes. Did I want them to get off of the name that they had historically? Yes. So it's like you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win with those things. All right.
I would at least have liked them to get the championship years correct on their own logo. That would have been a good start.
I saw that.
Ouch.
I'm
okay. Heel of the week. Cheap.
My heel of the week, and I'll do the same thing with no context. You can decide why. Tom Brady, you are my heel of the week. Tom Brady's my heel of the week.
Understood.
He wants to spend time with his family.
We'll see what happens. Tom Brady's my heel of the week.
It's fine. You can. We have let Ty make emotions heel of the week. So I mean, whatever. I'm cool with it. Ty, who's your heel of the week? Actually, I'm gonna go first because you might have a fun one, and mine's not so fun. My heel of the week is Nazis. I don't understand the resurgence. I'm dead serious. Like, I don't understand the resurgence. Maybe neo-Nazis.
Just this week? They're the heel of the week? Just this week?
I mean, for all time, right? But this week in particular, it's Black History Month. Like, stop calling in bomb threats. We all know that, you're not going to do it. You don't know how to make a bomb. You're not that wise. So, just go away and watch your World War II documentary and just go do something else. Make Nazis afraid again. I am on team punch Nazis in the face. If you see a Nazi, punch him in the face. I'll bail you out. Ty, who's your heel of the week?
This is going off the rails.
So mine was going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, but both of y'all did
football things. Super football heavy today.
Yeah, I'm not going to go football. I'm a Ravens fan. So I can't cheer for the Bengals.
I checked on Ty because he wrote a cryptic tweet that was like, "This is the worst day ever." I was like, "Ty, you all right, brother? What's going on? What's happening?" Then he was like, "The Bengals," and I was like, "Okay, we good."
The Bengals in the Super Bowl.
I was really worried.
We have rules in the AFC North. Is that the Bengals and the Browns suck? All right, that's the number one rule. But I'm going to go, and this is nothing. Megan, this is nothing against you guys and your fandom of AEW, but AEW's Rooney Rule, where you have to have at least one black person on the show, on the national show, and they maybe win for Black History Month. Yeah, that's my heel of the week.
When you said nothing against you guys, I thought white people was going to be your heel of the week, which I totally would have got on board for.
Oh, I'm never going to apologize for that.
And it still kind of is.
No, but the Nyla Rose win over Ruby Soho.
That they checked their box.
Was the Black History Month check box.
Yep.
And the dirt sheets, we don't know how much we can trust them, but they're saying Ruby Soho's is not happy about her direction and might be limited. Days might be limited in AEW.
Well, she is the runaway, so if she runs away, it'll at least be true to form. Okay, so Ty, do you have a match for us this week? Do you have a recommendation?
I actually do not. So I'm going to pull one out of my butt.
TG, do you have a match recommendation for us of something to watch?
Gosh, I didn't know this. I was unfamiliar with the assignments here, so I didn't know.
The show has changed quite a bit. Since TG was on IG Live, just
format. I mean, my go-to match always is Steve Austin versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. Can't go wrong with that.
Nice.
Well, I'll give a match of the week to watch. Tune into the Virginia State Senate and watch Louise Lucas against Amanda Chase. It's phenomenal. I give it 5 stars.
All right. There we go.
I think that's it. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
I think we are. PG, thank you so much for joining us. You know we never leave without putting our friends over. Where can people follow you to get these hot takes on a weekly basis?
Oh my gosh. My Twitter is at the Axis of Ego. If you want to follow it, it's mostly sports stuff these days.
Love it.
Well, we certainly will be making sure we post that so that everybody can follow you and get your hot takes as the week continues. And thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming back. You are more of a family, wrestling chat with family rather than wrestling chat with friends, but we're really happy to have you back. Please come back again. Now you know the new assignments. You can be ready to rate a wrestler. You can have a match ready for us, and you can be ready with your heel of the week, because that's what we do now. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know, we don't leave until the match is counted out to 3. So 1, 2, 3. Catch you next week. Peace, peace.